If you've noticed that after this relationship ended, you suddenly question everything, what you say, what you feel, what you remember, even simple decisions, this video is for you. And no, this doesn't mean that you're broken, bad at making decisions, or insecure. A lot of people come out of narcissistic or emotionally abusive relationships with a quiet, terrifying thought in the back of their minds. What if I can't trust myself anymore? That fear alone keeps people stuck for years. But here's what I want you to hear very clearly. Nothing is wrong with your judgment. What broke was your internal trust system that tells you that your perception is valid. And this happens specifically in relationships where your reality was questioned, minimized, rewritten, or denied over time. That's why this symptom shows up so strongly after narcissistic or emotional abuse. You had to adapt to survive the relationship. In this video, I'm going to explain exactly how that self-doubt gets installed and what actually helps to rebuild trust. Let's talk about what really happened. Most people assume that doubting yourself after a relationship ends is one of these three things: that they're emotionally weak, that they stayed too long, or that they lost themselves because they didn't have strong boundaries. But that explanation doesn't quite fit in terms of what happens in narcissistic or emotionally abusive relationship. This isn't just insecurity, it's systematic self-doubt. You didn't wake up one day and suddenly stop trusting yourself. It happened slowly, quietly, in moments that didn't seem dramatic at the time. And that's important because when people don't understand what happened, they try to fix it in ways that might actually make it worse. They tell themselves to just be confident. They try to trust their gut again before their nervous system feels safe. And they shame themselves for still questioning things. But self-trust doesn't come back through pressure. It comes back through understanding what happened to us. Before we dive into the how of what happened, I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Cassandra Mullick. I'm a therapist, a wellness coach, and a certified narcissistic abuse treatment clinician. This channel is all about rebuilding yourself after heartbreak. If you're in that season of life right now, I'm building a free community that you can check out in the description below. Let's talk about what breaks self-trust in narcissistic abusive relationships. It's not one big lie. It's the repetition of subtle experiences that teach you to not rely on yourself. You express a feeling and it's dismissed. You remember something very clearly and you're told that it didn't happen that way. You react to disrespect and you're told that you're too sensitive. Over time, you start doing something very intelligent, but something very dangerous as well. You start checking in with them before you check in with yourself. I remember doing this when I was in a narcissistic abusive relationship. My opinion didn't matter, my voice didn't matter, and to keep the peace, I would chronically check in with my partner. And you may be able to relate to that. You look at their reaction before trusting your own judgment. You adjust your emotions to avoid conflict. You second guess your instincts because trusting them feels unsafe. Eventually, your internal compass stops being the authority in your life. And when that happens, self-trust doesn't just weaken, it completely goes offline. I want you to remember though, that this is not a character flaw. You are in a toxic relationship and you are doing your best to keep yourself safe. This is a protective adaptation. Your mind learned that trusting yourself led to punishment, conflict, or emotional withdrawal. Here's the part that confuses people the most. Even after the relationship ends, even when you know logically what happened and the relationship was really toxic, the self-doubt doesn't just disappear. And that's because self-doubt isn't stored in logic, it's actually stored in your nervous system. Throughout that relationship, your body learned that your decisions were unsafe because they led to negative consequences. So now, when you try to make decisions, your system hesitates. Not because you're incapable, but because in the past, when you made a decision, it came with consequences. This is why people say things like, I know the truth, but I still doubt myself. I don't trust my reactions anymore. or I overthink everything now. Your mind is trying to protect you from your past environment. Even though that environment is gone, the body still remembers. So at this point, you may be asking, well, what do I do then? How do I rebuild self-trust? I want to emphasize that self-trust doesn't come back by making big decisions fast. It comes back through small, low-risk moments of self-agreement. I want to talk about an example. So when my relationship ended, I remember how terrified I was of making any decision, be it where to order food from, to switch a bank account, to go outside for a walk. Everything just seemed really terrifying. And slowly but surely, I started making very small decisions that started to rebuild my self-trust. The one thing that is so important to learn right from the beginning when you're trying to rebuild self-trust is to notice how you're feeling and don't override it. A lot of us, because of our past trauma, jump into fight, flight, or freeze. Here, I just want you to notice what you feel in your body. When you have a thought, don't immediately discredit it or let your inner critic take over, which is most likely that person's voice, not your own deep wisdom. And when you're ready, you can set a small boundary and let it stand. And that could be a boundary for self, like I'm not going to reach out to my ex, or it could be a boundary for others. When they ask you about the breakup, you can kindly say, I'm not ready to talk about it yet. And maybe the boundary needs to be smaller. I'll let you decide. Every time you choose alignment over explanation, you are rebuilding self-trust. Every time you stop asking, is this reasonable? And reframe the question to, is this true for me? And is this what I want? You are rebuilding self-trust. Self-trust isn't confidence. It is consistency. It's learning slowly that you don't have to abandon yourself anymore. If you want support with this, my community is all about rebuilding self-trust. Feel free to check out the link in the description below. So if you're doubting yourself after narcissistic or emotional abuse, I want you to hear this loud and clear. You didn't lose your intuition. You did not do anything wrong. You did what you had to do to survive in that relationship. And the fact that you're here with me in this video thus far tells me that you're dedicated to doing the work to rebuild yourself. You're waking up, and I'm really proud of you for doing that. This is hard stuff. If this video helped you to put words to something that you've been struggling with, drop me a comment below. You're not alone, and you're not imagining this. This truly does happen, and I've experienced it myself. If you want to keep on exploring this topic, check out this video up here.